This proposal, 21B10, is really kind of a continuation of something that we have seen come out of a special COVID year type of an exception related to initial eligibility criteria. But it is also something that we have been working towards for a while in recent years with the Council of Faculty Athletic Representatives and the Initial Eligibility Task Force that was looking at NAIA initial eligibility requirements. So in both of those circumstances, there was recognition that class rank letters, one of the traditional requirements or available options of initial eligibility, are less and less available to students today in high school. And in addition, we continue to see that ACT and SAT scores continue to be less utilized by students as colleges are more frequently becoming test optional. COVID and the pandemic has certainly enhanced or amplified those sorts of challenges. So in this past year, there was a special exception made to allow students to become eligible to compete in the NAIA based purely off of their high school GPA. What the current proposal does is takes a version of that and seeks to make it a permanent change in the NAIA. So under this proposal, in addition to the 2 out of 3 approach, the approach we have always had, that will continue to remain as an available option for incoming freshmen to be eligible. In addition to that, what this proposal would do would be to create another path towards eligibility for incoming freshmen. And it would say that if your high school GPA is 2.3 or higher, you can be eligible in the NAIA. There are no additional criteria that you would have to satisfy. Not a test score, not a class rank, or anything like that. There are no additional criteria you would have to satisfy to be eligible in the NAIA. You would have to be identified at your NAIA institution, you'd have to be certified as eligible, and all of those sorts of things. But essentially, from a substantive standpoint, that 2.3 GPA at a high school would be enough to do it. In addition, you may be familiar with the early decision criteria, which basically looks at a student's progress or performance after 6 or 7 semesters in high school and identifies if they could be eligible for that final decision early. And the thought process behind that currently is that we look at a GPA standard that is high enough that no matter what the student's performance was in their last 1 or 2 semesters of high school, they would not mathematically be able to drop below the standard we would expect. So currently, under the 2 out of 3 approach, that's a 2.0 standard. Under this approach, we'd be saying we'd expect a 2.3 requirement at high school graduation. So from an early decision standpoint, what that means is if after a student's 6th semester of high school, if they have a 3.3 GPA, they would be eligible for an early decision, saying that they're eligible in the NAIA. Again, we've run the numbers to ensure that that student would not be able to fall under a 2.3 at that point in time. Similarly, after a student's 7th semester of high school, we would say that as long as that student has at least a 2.8 high school GPA, they would be eligible for an early decision, stating that they were able to compete in the NAIA.